Now let's begin the show with a news that broke forth just a minute ago, and that's in Formula One. The Chinese Grand Prix for the 2023 season has been cancelled. The race was meant to take place on the 16th of April 2023, but as a result of COVID-19 cases and a rise in such cases in China and other Chinese cities, that race has now been cancelled. Remember, China has a zero policy to COVID-19 cases in terms of infected cities as well as people, and as a result of that, the Chinese officials cannot guarantee that the drivers as well as the various teams and officials of the Formula One teams will be given the in quote free hand that they need to operate during the weekend of the Chinese Grand Prix. So the Chinese Grand Prix is off the calendar for 2023. That means the 2023 Formula One calendar is one race short. The last time the race held was in 2019 before COVID-19 came into existence. Now let's delve to World Cup matters, talking about review of matches we saw yesterday. The Germans were in action. It was a 4-2 win over Costa Rica, but that didn't stop them from exiting at the group stage once again. Remember, in 2018 at Russia, they were the defending champions, but crashed out at the group stage's bottom of the group. This time around, you had a similar case, although they finished third. And the big question will be, what exactly is wrong with the Germans? You look at the caliber of players they have, you know quite well that they should be making the next round of the FIFA World Cup. But in successive World Cup appearances now, that hasn't been the case, as against their first 16 appearances at the World Cup, where they made the next round. So Aziz Oliokun is still with me, joins me virtually. Aziz, the question is, what exactly is wrong with this German side? Hansi Flick was meant to come in with a rebuilding process, but it looks like they are back to square one, if you want to call it that.
Most definitely, we are back to square one. It's actually a disappointing result for them yesterday, despite winning the battle.
Yes.
They lost the war. They won 4-2 against the Costa Rican yesterday, but Spain didn't give them the
favor exactly
by losing to Japan, and so disappointing. I just hope that they can actually give the coach adequate time to build a thing. We actually saw a glimpse of what the German can actually produce. But their own doing is the first game against Japan, losing to the Japanese. Is actually costly. It actually cost them
the chance of qualifying. Yes. Okay. Where does this leave Germany now? I mean, two back-to-back, early exits at the World Cup. The Euros last time out, they didn't impress as well. They got to the round of 16. The players are there, but when you look at some players, they're also aging, so it's more like a new phase. Muller is 33, and having started, 2 World Cup appearances with 10 goals and 6 assists. The last 2 for him has not been good. He had the opportunity to, break all records in terms of goals and assists to the World Cup. But by the next Mundial, he will be 37, and it's as good as saying that this is probably his last World Cup. So Manuel Neuer, probably the same thing. That was his 19th match at, the World Cup, more than any other goalkeeper in the history of the game. The question is, where does this leave Germany? Is it a rebuilding process, or they just have to find a coach that can work with these players?
Actually, I don't think this is actually a coaching issue. If you look at the team, this team is actually really good. We have the likes of Adeye and Abla.
Yeah. Musiala, Jamal.
Musiala is also there.
Yes.
This is actually a young team. You just need to give the coach the benefit of the doubt to work with these young guys. And I'm so sure of the fact that I'm sure that in this is being done, giving the coach the needed support, the needed time to build a team.
Yes.
Germany will actually come good.
Okay, let's talk about another team that has failed to impress, not just at this World Cup, but probably over the last 6-8 years, and that has to be Belgium. They are regarded as the golden generation of Belgium, considering the array of talents at the disposal of the team's technical crew. But they've just failed to deliver on the big stage. The best has been a 3rd place finish at the last World Cup. What exactly went wrong for Belgium during this competition? And over the course of the last 6 years, the 6-year stint of Roberto Martinez, who has quit the job, by the way, what do you think the problem was?
A lot of things. During this World Cup, a lot of rumor were actually circulating the internet space about
divided dressing room.
The divided dressing room. You can't actually bring out the best out of the player if they are not in good time. A lot of rumors of De Bruyne not having, not in talking time
with Thibaut Courtois.
According to some reports, that Eden Hazard, which is the captain of the team, is not also on talking time with Trossard. This kind of disunity can actually affect the play on the field. Everybody, this Belgian golden generation was so scintillating in the last World Cup in Russia.
Exactly.
We saw how they dispatched the Brazil, the Brazil that has the Neymar, and it's so unfortunate that Roberto Martinez couldn't bring out the best of this team. It's so unfortunate, we saw Lukaku missing sitters, missing chances, numerous chances.
Numerous chances.
So it's so unfortunate that a golden generation that should be ruling the World Cup is actually going to waste. It's so unfortunate. I just wish they can get a coach that can actually bring out the best of these guys. The quality is there, but the result is just not coming out. How can you, as a team, lose to Morocco? Yes, with due respect to the Moroccan, nobody's like, at a point in time, this Belgian team was the #1 ranked team in the world.
For almost 4 years.
About the potentials of that squad. It's just so unfortunate that they are not getting it right at this point in time.
Well, quite unfortunate, it must be said, for the former world #1, team when it comes to football. Remember, from September 2018 to March 2022, Belgium was the top-ranked side when it comes to FIFA rankings. Unfortunately, they've not allowed that count for anything in terms of laurels. Well, let's see who the new coach will be, and maybe, just maybe, this golden generation will have one more chance. Talking about the next European Championship, although majority of them will well be in their mid-30s by then. Let's move now to Japan. That's a team that shocked so many people when the groups were drawn. You wouldn't have expected a group that had Germany, Spain, as well as Japan, would have the Asian nation not just qualify from that group, but also top the group. Japan against Spain, 2-1. But here's the thing. For all of the good works that both sides had on the field of play, the controversy had to be the VAR decision that allowed that goal stand. We've now seen an aerial view of the ball, and we realized that, okay, not the entire curvature of the ball, was off the line. So the goal is definitely a legitimate one. Well, let's move away from there now and talk about Morocco. That's the African team that is doing us well at this point in time. Again, that's another team you wouldn't have expected to top a group that had tough teams like Belgium, like Croatia in the group as well. But the Moroccans are through, and it's a good news for Africa as well. Aziz, beating Canada was not the issue. I mean, that was almost written in the stars in terms of certainty. But it's the fact that they topped that group that is probably shocking to so many. When you have Belgium, you have Croatia in that group as well. Morocco, do you think they stand a chance against Spain, who they would face in the round of 16, and probably hit the quarterfinals?
Definitely, they can actually be the first team in Africa to get to the semi-final of the World Cup, because a win against Spain will give them the moral boost to execute the subsequent game. But I just hope that they can take it a game at a time. Hopefully, they can get the pressure of losing Spain in the second round of the World Cup in Qatar.
Okay, let's turn our attention to today's matches now. We have two African teams playing 4 matches, and for some of them, they're yet to qualify for the next round. In fact, only 2 of the 8 teams have booked their places. The 8 teams playing today, only 2 have booked their places, talking about Brazil and Portugal. So let's start with Cameroon. Cameroon have an Herculean task in terms of defeating Brazil. Brazil have qualified already. They just need a draw to probably top the group, or even if they lose, depending on the results from other games, they can still top that group. And they are without Neymar, who is still nursing that ankle injury. So you expect Vinicius Junior to probably lead the lines. That's if Tite doesn't decide to reshuffle the pack, as it were. But the big question is, can Cameroon get the job done against Brazil, considering that for Brazil this is seemingly a dead rubber game?
The good news for the Cameroon is that the the talisman, Neymar, is actually out of the second time.
Yeah.
And Brazil have actually secured their pass to the second round. It's so certain that they'll be playing with an understrength team. Let me put it in that coach. Like they were playing the second team.
The second string, yeah.
They won't want to risk it too much. We expected the coach to start a lot of the string players to give them a feel of the World Cup. So this could play in favor of the Cameroonians. And I just hope that the last incident that robbed the Cameroonian squad,
yes, Onana,
the talking point of the goalkeeper being ace from the squad. I just think they can take advantage of the fact that the Brazilian have actually passed, they qualified to the knockout stage.
Yes.
To actually give them the needed 3 points to pass through to the knockout stage. Just like you said earlier, this is an idea tax for them to mount on. We just hope that they can actually get the best out of this game.
Okay, well, let's talk about Ghana now. Yes, another African side, and Ghana against Uruguay is the matchup. The first time both sides will be meeting at the FIFA World Cup since that fateful event or fateful match in 2010, the quarterfinals, where the Ghanaians were denied the goal by Luis Suarez's, handball just on the line. But must be said that Uruguay did not deny Ghana the win because Asamoah Gyan had a chance to net from 12 points, but it was just probably 2 inches of, breadth off, the net, having struck the woodwork. Luis Suarez's handball from 12 years ago is what's dominating, this match. What do you make up of this encounter, really? Because the Ghanaians do have a strong chance of qualifying.
They do have a strong chance to qualify, just like you said. It's so unfortunate that Luis Suarez handball denied Ghanaian or the whole African continent
of a semi-final spot.
In the first team in the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup. And I just hope that the Ghanaian can bring out that revenge, that revenge. They can bring out that revenge on the pitch of play to show them that yes, we denied you lot of Africa and we are ready to deny you guys also the knockout round, because a win for Ghana in this encounter is a win for Africa. This will give the African continent
will have at least 3 representatives.
In the knockout stage. So we just hope that the Ghana can come out good, just like they did in the last one, even though they lost a 2-goal league against the Korean, but later they won the game by 3. We just hope that they can bring out their high game and have their passage into the knockout. Their destiny is actually in their hand. They know this.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the whole Africa or the whole continent is working on them that they can make us proud.